European leaders are to meet later this week to discuss the economic plan. The Italians say they're not hopeful that there will be an agreement on the economic direction during the crisis. It seems the old problems will remain. The new crisis has got old divisions. The frugal four want smaller budgets, Austria, Denmark, the Netherlands and Sweden, whilst friends of cohesion want larger responses to its crisis. Spain's proposing a $1.6 trillion package. Margarita Vestager is the Executive Vice President of the European Commission, joins me now. We have had, haven't we, Vice President? We have had the slightly unseemly view of the countries arguing about fundamental ways forward when they should be more one together and all together.
Good evening. It's very nice to be with you. You are indeed right in saying that there has been discussions back and forth, but you probably saw the decisions of the Eurogroup the week before this one, both on how to tackle part of the unemployment, how to continue with the ECB programs of 750 billion euros, and how to use the European Stability Mechanism in this. So the European member states, they are on their way having very profound discussions about how to recover from this unprecedented historical situation.
Turning to the question of privacy, you obviously, this is your main area now, and the companies like Apple and Google will be the ones that will be creating the apps and the infrastructure for much of the coronavirus testing apps or tracing apps. But that creates privacy issues. Now, I hear you say you don't need to give up privacy to have the apps and vice versa, but the critics say something's going to have to give.
Well, I think it's a false dilemma, because the thing is that you would want people to trust the technology. And to create trust, you need to respect people. You need to say, well, we will find a technology that respects your privacy. And that is indeed doable. We already have examples. We have member states forming consortia with telcos in order to develop apps that can do exactly that and to be able to do that cross-border. The important thing, of course, is that the Google, the Apples of this world, that they make sure that the operating systems, they can carry apps that will communicate with both or many different operating systems. But it is indeed doable, and I think that will create the trust that will people use the technology, and only if these apps are being used, they are helpful in fighting the virus.
There could be some of those companies who will say, well, we'll do it, but we just won't issue it in Europe, or we'll just keep it away from Europe, even allowing for GDPR and all of that. Because, frankly, you know, Margarita Vestager has been so difficult to work with. Her bureaucracy is so challenging, and whatever we do, we always end up getting it wrong.
Well, I think that you'd see that many businesses, they have an excellent business in Europe. Europe is a good place to do business. Businesses, they make profit, they expand, they have happy customers here. And that's just because we have fair competition. We have a marketplace where you can trust that if someone is misusing a dominant position, if someone forms a cartel, well, then either national competition authorities or European competition authorities, where I have the responsibility, that of course will look for that, because the huge majority of businesses, they do good business. They do it by the book, and they can do that trusting that someone will look after the few who do not apply by the rules.
Now, you talk about competition. There is a great deal of concern that companies, particularly Chinese companies, could be on the lookout to buy European companies cheap, since their share prices have been so badly knocked down. I know you're going to be watching out closely for this. What's going to be your guiding light on whether or not to allow or to investigate what seems to be somebody snapping up bargains?
Well, of course, member states, they have the front line here because they are the first port to call if they find that a strategically important business is at the risk of a hostile takeover. They can do the simple thing of buying shares, but we have also developed a tool that allows us to screen foreign direct investment to see if people come here to do business or they come for wrong reasons. And we're in the process of developing our investigative tools to see if an acquisition is done with foreign subsidies by, for instance, a foreign state-owned company or a company backed by a foreign state, and that people do not come here for the best business intentions.
If we look at this, because there's one company overall that has stood out, and that is Amazon. The way in which, its share prices remains at record highs. It seems to be the backbone of much retailing in the EU and the US at the moment throughout this crisis. Are you worried, Vice President, are you worried that what was a seriously dominant player has become even more so?
Well, as you probably know, we have an ongoing investigation into Amazon's use of data. It started before the corona crisis and will probably not be done until the corona crisis is over. But we started this investigation because we did already have a worry about the Amazon use of data. And that, of course, may be more troublesome if Amazon entrench a position where we say that in some markets they are indeed dominant.
Good to talk to you. Thank you very much. Executive Vice President Margarita Vestager joining me from Brussels.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
I appreciate it.